All right, let's dive into something pretty fascinating today, the world of food and nutrition. But we're going deeper than just what tastes good. We're going to really unpack the science of what fuels our bodies. You sent over these excerpts from a science textbook, FESAC 101.pdf. And wow, it really makes you think about every bite you take.
It's amazing what we can learn about our health just from understanding, really breaking down the components of our food.
Yeah, and that's exactly where this textbook starts. It breaks down all these components into 6 major groups. They call them nutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water. It's like food has all these secret ingredients with special jobs.
It really is. Each one plays a unique role in making sure our bodies can function. Think of your body like a complex machine, and all these nutrients are the parts that keep everything running.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Mhm.
But then there's this other thing the textbook talks about, dietary fibers, or like roughage, right? It says they're not technically nutrients, but still super important. Can you help me understand that?
Oh, absolutely. Think of dietary fibers as kind of the unsung heroes of digestion. Our bodies don't absorb them the same way as other nutrients, but they're crucial for keeping our digestive system happy. They help regulate bowel movements, prevent constipation, even help you feel full, which is great for weight management.
So even though they don't give us direct fuel, they help us process everything else.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that a healthy diet isn't just about the obvious stuff like calories. It's really about how all these different components work together.
This is so interesting. Okay, so let's get into some specific nutrients, starting with the energy powerhouses, carbohydrates and fats. The textbook calls them energy-giving foods.
And that's a really accurate description. Carbohydrates are like the quick energy source. They give you that immediate boost. Fats, on the other hand, are more like the long-lasting energy reserves.
So like sprinters versus marathon runners.
Perfect analogy.
The textbook uses some great examples too, right?
Yeah. Like rice is a great source of carbohydrates. It explains why marathon runners who need that quick energy often carb load before a race. And then there's nuts and till as examples of good sources of fat. They give you that energy that keeps you going all day.
So it depends what kind of energy we need. That dictates what's more important at any given time.
Exactly. And that's why having a balanced diet is so important. It's about making sure we're getting the right mix of those energy sources.
Makes sense. Now, I'm curious about the other nutrients, proteins, vitamins, and minerals.
Hmm.
The textbook refers to them as the builders and protectors, which sounds super important.
Oh, they absolutely are. Proteins are like the construction workers of the body. They're always repairing and rebuilding tissues, keeping everything strong. Think about it. Your muscles, skin, hair, nails, they're all made up of protein.
Wow, so every time we eat protein, our bodies use it to literally build and repair themselves.
Exactly. And then you have vitamins and minerals. They're like the tiny guardians of our health. They don't provide energy directly, but they're crucial for a ton of different functions, from supporting your immune system to regulating your metabolism.
Okay, so if proteins are the builders, vitamins and minerals are like the supervisors, making sure everything runs smoothly.
I like that. And the textbook even gives some fascinating examples of their diverse roles. For instance, it mentions lentils as a plant-based protein source and eggs as an animal-based one, showing that there are different ways to get the protein our bodies need.
Right, which is great because it means whether you're vegetarian, vegan, or eat everything, there's a protein source out there for you.
Absolutely. And with vitamins, I was fascinated to learn that our bodies actually make vitamin D. With help from sunlight, of course. It shows that our diet isn't the only thing that impacts our nutrient intake. Our lifestyle choices, like spending time outdoors, play a role too.
That's amazing. It's like our bodies are always working with the environment to keep our nutrient levels balanced. Speaking of different sources, the textbook uses these cool visuals to highlight how diverse mineral sources are, like calcium from milk and iron from spinach.
Yeah, and that diversity is so important because each mineral has a unique job. Calcium, for example, is crucial for strong bones and teeth. And iron is key for healthy red blood cells, which carry oxygen throughout your body.
So it really is like an orchestra. Each instrument, or in this case, each mineral needs to be present to make the music sound right.
You got it. Which brings us back to the importance of a balanced diet, something we'll discuss in more detail later.
I can't wait. We've already learned so much about the individual components of nutrition. It's amazing how much goes into fueling our bodies.
It really is a complex and fascinating system.
All right, after a short break, we'll explore how to put all this knowledge together and build that winning team with a balanced diet. Stay with us. Okay, we're back. And I'm ready to really understand this whole balanced diet thing. We've talked about all the different nutrients. But what does that actually look like, when we're planning our meals?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It's not about deprivation or some strict set of rules. It's really about understanding what your body needs and giving it the right amount of each nutrient.
So less about specific foods, more about the overall mix.
Yeah, exactly. And that mix can change depending on a few things. Your age, how active you are, even where you live.
That makes sense. Like, someone training for a marathon needs way more energy than someone who sits at a desk all day. Their diets would have to be different, right?
Absolutely. The textbook actually brings that up. It wants us to consider how our physical activity level influences our balanced diet needs. Someone super active will need more calories and a higher proportion of carbohydrates for all those workouts. But someone less active, maybe with a desk job, they might need fewer calories overall and could actually benefit from a bit more fat for that steady energy throughout the day.
Wow, it's making me rethink my own routine. Definitely need more movement in my life.
Even small changes help. But it's not just about how active we are. The textbook also talks about regional food habits and how they contribute to balanced diets.
Oh, right. It mentions how different meals from all over India, even though they use different ingredients, different flavors, they often end up being pretty similar in terms of nutrition.
It's fascinating, right? Shows how cultural food traditions, which have developed over generations, often naturally include this understanding of balanced nutrition. The textbook gives some cool examples, like in one region you might have chapati, dal, and brinjal curry, and in another, rice, sambar, and lady's finger, showing the variety but also that underlying balance.
It's like there isn't one right way to eat a balanced diet. There are so many approaches. The textbook even suggests we try something fun, charting out what we eat for a week and seeing if we're getting all the necessary nutrients each day.
That's such a practical idea. It really helps you see your own habits and spot any potential gaps. And while we're talking practical stuff, the textbook emphasizes that a balanced diet doesn't have to be expensive. It lists tons of examples of affordable foods like pulses, sattu, jaggery, and locally grown veggies, all packed with nutrients.
That's great to hear. Healthy eating shouldn't be a luxury, right? But I've always wondered about something. The source mentions that how we cook food can also affect its nutrients. Is that really true?
It is, and it's often overlooked. Cooking can definitely make food safer and easier to digest, but some cooking methods can actually cause nutrient loss.
Like what, for example?
Well, washing veggies after cutting them can wash away some of the water-soluble vitamins, and overcooking can destroy things like vitamin C, which is pretty sensitive to heat.
So maybe steaming or lightly stir-frying veggies is better than boiling them for a long time.
You got it. The key is to pick methods that keep as many nutrients as possible. The textbook also mentions not throwing away the water you cook things in, especially for pulses and rice, because it can have important minerals and proteins.
It's like there are all these hidden layers of food wisdom we need to uncover. Not just what we eat, but how we prepare it. The textbook has this interesting story about a character named Bujo, who thinks eating only fatty foods will give him the most energy.
Oh yeah, that's a common misconception. People think more fat equals more energy, so it must be healthy. But as the textbook explains, it's not that simple.
So while fats are essential, we shouldn't go overboard.
Exactly. It's all about that balance we keep talking about. The textbook does a good job of debunking that myth, showing that a balanced diet needs variety, not just tons of one thing.
Right, makes sense. There's also a mention of something called fortified foods. The textbook even shows a logo for them, but I'm not totally sure what that means.
Fortification is basically adding essential vitamins and minerals to common foods, like rice, wheat, oil, milk, salt, things like that.
So it's like giving those everyday foods a nutritional boost.
Exactly. It's a strategy to address nutrient deficiencies by making sure even those who may not have access to a wide variety of foods can still get those key nutrients.
This is so insightful. We've really covered a lot today. From all the different nutrients and what they do, to the importance of balanced diets, and even how our cooking methods can affect things. But there's one more big piece of the puzzle I'm thinking about, the whole issue of deficiency diseases.
You're right, that's a crucial aspect of nutrition, and we'll explore it in depth after a short break.
All right, we're back. And I have to admit, I'm a little nervous to talk about this next part. We've spent so much time focusing on the positive side of nutrition, how to fuel our bodies properly. But what happens when things go wrong? What about when we don't get the nutrients we need?
It's a crucial question, and unfortunately it's a reality for many people around the world. We're talking about deficiency diseases, which result from a prolonged lack of essential nutrients, and they can have a serious impact on our health.
The textbook doesn't shy away from that, does it? It paints a pretty stark picture. saying that if someone doesn't get enough protein over time, they could experience things like stunted growth, swelling of the face, discoloration of hair, skin problems, even diarrhea.
It's a pretty powerful illustration of just how widespread the effects can be from just one nutrient deficiency. Our bodies are incredibly complex, and every single nutrient plays a critical role in keeping everything balanced.
And it's not just about individual nutrients in isolation either, right? The textbook mentions that a severe lack of both carbs and protein can actually stop growth completely, leaving someone incredibly weak.
It's a stark reminder that having access to proper nutrition, it's not just about individual health. These deficiencies can impact entire communities, affecting people's ability to learn, work, contribute to society.
Absolutely. And it's not just protein and carbs we need to be mindful of. The textbook has this table 1.3, listing all sorts of diseases and disorders caused by vitamin and mineral deficiencies.
Yeah, that table is a really valuable resource. It shows, for instance, the link between vitamin A deficiency and night blindness, which makes it hard to see in low light.
Wow, that sounds incredibly challenging.
It is. And then there's the link between vitamin D deficiency and rickets, a disease that weakens bones and can cause them to bow.
These are serious conditions, and the source material really emphasizes that a balanced diet, that's the best way to prevent them.
It's true. It's a powerful reminder that we have the power to protect ourselves through the choices we make about the food we eat.
And it's not just about the food itself either, is it? The textbook mentions how not getting enough sunlight, which we need to produce vitamin D, can also be a problem.
You're absolutely right. It highlights how connected everything is. Our diet, our lifestyle choices. Even if we're eating a balanced diet, something like limited sun exposure can still lead to a deficiency.
So it's a much bigger picture than just what's on our plates.
Absolutely. It's about taking a holistic approach to our well-being.
And I guess that also ties back into what we talked about earlier, about being mindful of how we cook our food.
Exactly. Choosing methods that preserve those nutrients, really making sure we're getting the most out of what we eat.
This whole deep dive into food and nutrition, it's been eye-opening to say the least. We've explored the roles of different nutrients, the importance of balanced diets, the potential consequences of not getting what we need, even how our cooking methods can impact things.
It's been a fascinating journey for sure. And if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that we have the power to make informed choices about what we eat, how we live, and by understanding the fundamentals of nutrition, we can take control of our health.
Well said. And I think the textbook leaves us with a great question to ponder. Knowing what you now know about nutrients and balanced diets, what one small change could you make to your eating habits to benefit your health? It's something to think about as you continue exploring this amazing world of food and nutrition. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure.